Hello, and hello. This is your pal Edwards here speaking with legendary career and empowerment coach Alice Cheng. How are you today, Alice Cheng?
I'm very good, Ed. Very good for the Thursday. A bit gloomy outside, but we're good.
I know we're in Sydney, but I'm from Melbourne originally. It's like Melbourne weather, isn't it? It's all overcast, raining, everyone's all upset and pissed off at each other. That's a pretty good way of looking at it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Anyway, let's not let the weather dictate our moods, hey? Shall we?
Exactly. So we may be low on serotonin, but we're not low on our love for our fans. So just want to say, if you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. Please connect with Alice Cheng. She's an amazing lady. And I thought I'd just open up, Alice. We went to Melbourne the other day. How did you enjoy your Melbourne trip?
It was excellent. I got a lot of free advice from you, Ed, and I feel like speaking to someone who is experienced in what they're doing, a bit of an expert, I feel that I'm learning a lot, and I'm always continuously learning in my life. It is a bit of a journey. So I loved it, and obviously meeting some fantastic entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business people who are just really inspiring. They're motivated, they're going after what they want, and they're not holding back. So that was really uplifting as well, because I've kind of it goes up and down in business. So that week I was a little bit in the down. So to be uplifted by a group of lovely, motivated people was excellent. I'm glad I made the trip. So thank you for that opportunity.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I just want to check with our fans. We've got Yvette April watching. Yvette April, welcome. If you just come in, please say hello. Smash that like, sharing, comment. If you're watching the recording, please say hello as well. It's funny, actually, we we're just talking before off camera, and I got no shame in this topic, is, when be it you're in a career, things aren't working out for you, be it you're in business, clients aren't approaching you, right? Now, I know you do several things. You do a lot of career work, you do women's empowerment coaching, and you've got your Anna Aura business. Is that right? Tell us a bit more about it.
Excellent. So maybe a little bit of a backstory in like 1 minute. So I'm a trained accountant. I've worked for some amazing brands such as LVMH, Woolworths, Qantas. And I guess I fell into accounting not because for the love of it, but because of the money, and felt that a desk job would really set me up for life. And how wrong was I? And I put up with that job I hated for 24 years until I turned 40 and really had a midlife crisis or mid-career crisis, going, what am I going to do? And the fear of doing the job I hate for another 25 years just really scared me. So I took action. So that was the first thing. I really evaluated.
Can I jump in there? And this is just jump out of interest, right? When you had your midlife crisis or career crisis, what happened? Was like one big event that broke your world into two? Was it just death by 1,000 paper cuts? What were the events that led up to you saying, I've had enough? Tell us a bit about it, because I'm sure a lot of us can relate, me included.
Oh, definitely it was death by 1,000 cut. I kept chasing that unicorn. I go into a job, not realizing because it wasn't aligned with my soul, with my value. I just kept doing what I was doing, hoping for a different outcome, which is insanity. So I kept chasing the next job, and I'm going, this is insane. And I was really depressed. I wind down each night with a glass of wine. Before you know it's a whole bottle. So I knew there was something wrong. So that's how I realized I needed to change.
Yeah, gotcha. And it's interesting, actually, because I have this chat. So I'm in my mid-40s, and I live in the North Shore of Sydney, right? And I speak to, and I know a lot of people, like, yeah, I know I'm well networked, but on a local level, I know a lot of people, right? And a lot of people know who I am, and we just have very honest. People just tell me everything. I've turned in. I'm a hairdresser without any hair, basically, right? And I find a lot of men and women, like, this is a both gender thing, right? It does vary slightly, but I'm trying to generalize here. When people hit 40 or their mid-40s, that's when a lot of them sit there and say, and then what? Hang on, I've done all this stuff. I've gone to uni, whatever. I've done all the stuff that you've told me to do, like this society's told me to do. But it sucks. This is not what I signed up for. Was that the sort of feeling that you got, Alice Cheng?
Absolutely. And obviously having children means you've got obligations and responsibilities. So I can't just leave my job to do whatever hell I want. And so that kept me in that space for over 10 years because I'm like, I've got to feed the kids, I've got to do this. And so it was all about other people. It wasn't about me and what I wanted. And until that very point where I go, I've got to do something for myself because I keep, and especially a working mother, keep just giving, to everybody. And my cup was getting really empty, if not negative, but I didn't fill that cup up, if that makes sense. I was just juggling.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I find as well, it's also the societal expectation. So if you've got you drive a nice car, you fly business class, whatever it is, people kind of expect that, don't they? Like, if my shirt's not correctly ironed, or if I've eaten a bit too much and my stomach's showing a bit, which happened to me a month ago, very embarrassing. People are often like, hey, what happened to your car? What happened to that job of yours? Hey, you're looking a bit tight in your shirt there, right?
Absolutely. And and that was my life from sort of the 20s and the 30s, keeping up with the Joneses, because I was earning good money. And so we were chasing that materialistic thing. And then until I went, wow, what do I need all these bags for? They're just sitting there, impressing people who I don't even like. What is this life? And I really had a realization and that pivotal moment in my life where I'm going, what do I want my life to look like in my career, in my personal goals? And what do I want to do? I just want to serve others. And that's what I realized and created my businesses around. I just want to help one person at a time. And that is my mission today.
Mm-hmm. Now, Megan, you do three things. I thought we'll talk about inner aura and women's empowerment a little bit later. I want to talk career a bit because I know that's one thing you do. Now, again, for everyone watching, Alice and I, we've traveled a lot. We've spent a lot of time off camera talking about this. One of the things you do, you're a master at helping, especially women, get pay rises and get promoted quickly. Tell us a bit about that whole ecosystem and how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So because I've lived that corporate life, I've went to many interviews myself, had that initial self-doubt, kept getting rejected. So that feel, oh gosh, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of that pay rise. So I know what it feels like. So therefore, once I've kind of got out
for a second, if I just jump in there, I'm going to bring gender into it as well, right?
Yeah.
I know we've had this chat again. We've got to be politically correct, so we don't get we don't get arrested for being right-wingers or anything, right? How dare you think independently? Off you their head, right? Can't think independently these days, right? But it's a whole. I don't mean to bring gender. I don't mean to be a gender baiter, but I noticed that I thought women have trouble asking for more money where men don't care. Can you expand a bit on that arc? Because I think it's a very fascinating arc there.
Yeah, look, this is just my personal experience because I'm juggling. I feel that I haven't hit a certain point in my life. Again, societal expectations, especially my Asian background as well. So I'm not good enough. I'm put into buckets. I'm a mother. I'm trying to work a corporate career, but I'm also a daughter. There's just so many hats. I mean, which one do you pick? And therefore, your self-worth just comes down because I can't define exactly which box I should be in. And I feel that's why we get down to that level. And then when we go, what's on the inside gets projected on the outside. And so when we go into that interview, we can't sell ourselves. And unfortunately, that comes across as, oh, you're not confident enough or you're not good enough for the job. Then that starts that vicious cycle. You keep getting rejected. Then you keep feeling crap about yourself. So that's unfortunately what happens out there. So that's why I bring these people in, male or female, but mainly females, where I really sit them down and really bring out of them, well, what have you achieved? And when we break it down, I can't turn them around in a day, but it's all about asking key questions. What are you good at? What are your strengths? What have you achieved? And they slowly but surely start to see for themselves. And then the moment they get that interview, they nailed it. That gives them 1 ounce of confidence. Then the next interview, then the next interview. So it's a whole system of building it step by step, but preparation is key. And that's my job, is to prepare them for that interview to give them that confidence from the inside out.
Oh, I love it. I just want to connect with our fans. Thank you for coming in. Scott Stanley, wait with us. Stanley, great seeing you. Love your hat. And Stanley's talking about how, when you hit 40 plus, it's great to ask questions because you've been working all these years. You need to be paid for your experience. So makes sense, Stanley. If you just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. Connect with Alice Cheng and myself on LinkedIn. And you might be watching this through Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter X as well, as we're live streaming those platforms. But Alice is an amazing lady. Now, that's interesting. So with your clients, do most of them already have a job and their job sucks and they want to get into another company, or do they more want to get promoted? What's the average sort of situation you deal with?
Yeah, most of them want more, but don't know how to go step up. So that's usually 90% of my clients. They go, I'm an analyst, I want to be a manager, but I don't know how to sell myself up. I don't have the experience, I haven't managed people, all of those things. Again, is that limiting thought until I come in and demonstrate to them that they have what it takes to step up, and just really selling yourself in that interview.
Yeah. So do they normally, let's say, do you get them applying for other jobs at other companies? Do you get them to have a stern chat with their manager and say, what the hell's going on? What do you normally do there?
I do try and get them to exhaust all possibilities in their current work, because to get an internal promotion is obviously the best option. But if they've done everything, or they're in a very toxic environment, manager sucks, then that's when I sort of guide them to go, we'll go out to the market, find the right role, because you deserve an inspiring career. You don't have to put up with crap in your current workplace. So that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. I remember years ago. I remember I was in a job that went really well, but then you know how it goes. You're in your dream job, then your manager changes, and it all just falls apart, right? Isn't that whole situation, right?
Absolutely.
It's like your dream turns into a nightmare very quickly, right? And I was in that situation, and I remember I was pissed off. I was really angry. And I ended up getting a really, really cool job on the other end. And what happened was I ended up getting out of that place, got a really good job. And then what happened was I actually yelled at him. I got really angry on the phone. One of my old bosses, who I didn't get along with that well, he was part of the problem, rang me up 6 months later offering me a promotion. And I'm like, I just started yelling. I just lost it. I just said, what the hell? You know, you guys kind of, I won't say it on camera, you guys effed my life up. I've been interstate. I've got this whole new life, and now you're trying to F me up again. What the F? So I literally went to my old bogan. I literally went to my old bogan mate and just F-bombed this guy on the phone. So that was quite funny. So there you go.
And so that kind of career limited your move in that business then? You've never gone back there, obviously?
Well, the thing was, so I was in this company, great company. I didn't blame the company smart, just an idiotic boss, right? Just bad boss, right? Bad boss. And I had a great boss who got promoted because they're a great boss, and I got stuck with this other moron, right? Anyway, and but I remember but you are right, because I actually spoke to them. I try to speak to them and sort things out. And they just won't help me. It's like, whatever. My name is Eddie in those days. Whatever, Eddie. You just need to learn how to suck it, right?
Yeah.
And I just went to the market and I ended up getting like a 20 grand pay rise and had manager after my name. So I was really happy with that.
Absolutely. And that's where sometimes people often also don't realize the perception is set in the workplace. It takes a lot of things to change that perception. So unfortunately, you have to make a change, because if they really wanted to promote you, they would have done it ages ago.
Yeah. And that's my point, because at the end of the day, if you haven't been promoted, you're not going to get promoted. That's sort of the attitude that I've got, right? Because you're right. If they're going to promote you, they would have promoted you by now, and you wouldn't need to ring up Alice Cheng.
Exactly. And that's why my other part of my big part of my job, and another service I provide, is that onboarding. So once they land that job, they're super happy. But now we've got to pass probation and create that first great impression as a newbie, especially if you stepped up as a manager. So there, I work with them for the next 6 months to make sure they pass the probation, but more importantly, create that first impression up front so that you can get the next promotion internally, because that first impression is so important. It's kind of like dating, isn't it? You meet someone, you leave an impression, and that kind of stays to get a second date or not. So it all kind of flows through. So I do have people who come in and stays with me for a year in my coaching.
Yeah, we've got one of our old friends, Maya Hadar, with us. Mayada, great seeing you. Maya says the job market is very different now. Finding and getting the job right is very difficult. And Maya's also, and just paraphrasing what Maya's saying, Maya's asking, in a saturated job, this is a question she's asking, paraphrasing, in a saturated job market, how do you find and get exactly what you want? What are your general thoughts on that one, Alice Cheng?
Yeah, I really go back to asking some very key questions. Get that career clarity first. What are your key strengths? What are my values? What am I passionate about? Now, I got to be honest, I don't believe in 100% unicorn job, perfect job. My ratio is if you can get 70% in a job that's you love it and 30% of crappy stuff you just got to do, I think that's a win. So you really got to understand and map out, well, what am I good at? What am I not good at? And then match it to those JDs. Now, as hard as it is, they are out there. Now, I'm not talking about the culture and all that stuff yet, but just the job description itself. Find there. And then honestly though, the JD is a piece of paper. You also have got to make the role as you go in there, make it your own and show and demonstrate proactiveness. So that would be the first step, career clarity, then selling yourself on that CV to stand out from the rest of the crowd. Got to ask yourself, well, what's your superpower? What are you selling in terms of your unique value proposition when you're going in there? Because everybody's going to look quite similar on paper. So it could be a combination of I understand sales, marketing, operations, and that's my superpower. I'm someone who just leads initiatives and drive value for the business. That's my superpower. So you really got to understand, well, what is your unique value proposition?
Love it. And it's interesting, actually, because again, a bit of context. So I'm a LinkedIn certified consultant. I work a lot directly with LinkedIn, and I hear both sides of I hear the LinkedIn viewpoint, I hear the world viewpoint. One thing. Now, I'm not a career coach, but a lot of people will ask me for not career advice. Please speak to Alice Cheng, but they'll ask me for LinkedIn advice about their career, if you know what I mean. It's more the LinkedIn niche stuff, right? And one thing and LinkedIn told me this, and this is something I pass on to people when they ask me that question, is that what they found within LinkedIn, right, is that let's say you got a job, right? Let's say you got a job, and you're not going to get fired, but you're just another character at work, right? You're just basically a piece of toast with butter. There's nothing unusual about you, right? You're not a souffle or a creme brulee or anything, right? Just whatever character, right? What they actually say on LinkedIn, and we've had clients do this, is that let's say you're just an average at work. When you start posting on LinkedIn, what you do is you actually start posting about your company on LinkedIn. You start using, and you told me this too, you start using LinkedIn to tell everyone how wonderful your company is. And guess what? All your bosses see it. And then miraculously you get promoted 3 months later. You told me that too. Tell us about that LinkedIn side of things, Alice Cheng.
Yeah, so I was honestly really afraid to go out there because I was afraid of what my employer may say, especially when I started coaching as a side hustle. And I did that for 4.5 years. But then, you know what? I thought, well, I'm not talking anything badly about my company. I'm always promoting the great culture, the people in there, shouting out to people. And that added to my own personal brand that helped me accelerate my side hustle to the point where I obviously have left my full-time job. But it can be a platform where you can share knowledge. Even repost someone's post is a good start. But it's a free platform to market yourself and brand yourself. And sometimes we have what we call network recruitment, where someone knows someone who knows someone. And now I've got senior people coming to me going, hey, have you got any coaches on your book, your clients on your book who might fit my job? And guess what? They save their 20%, which can often be 40, 50 grand in recruitment fee. I don't charge anything. I just want to help my coachee and I connect them under the radar, not advertised. So that's what happens when you brand yourself on LinkedIn.
Love it, love it. And Maya Haddad says, thank you, Maya. And by the way, Maya, please connect with Alice Cheng. I'm a LinkedIn consultant. Alice Cheng is obviously the career coach, not me, so please get her. And Stanley Wade also says, promoting yourself never stops, even once having reached position 1. Yeah, exactly. Like once you get your dream job, you've got to pass probation, right? That's another conversation for another time. So what I want to do now, by the way, friends, if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. I want to move on from career coaching and talk to you about the women's coaching you do, right? Now, I know that includes a lot of careers. So if you can tell us about, subtract the career part and tell us
Yes.
the rest about your women's coaching. We'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. It's funny. It's a serendipity moment because I'm finding a lot of women, working mothers, or just working career women coming to me going, how do you juggle it all? I really want to set up my own business. How did you start? Or the kids are still young. I really want to be at home, but I don't want to stop in my career. So now I've kind of morphed myself into sharing my experience as someone who have juggled or still integrating work with kids and family. And that's also a reason why I left my corporate job, because my kids are now in their final years of school and I really wanted to be at home. So I had to clarify what do I want to do that can more integrate both. And so now I'm just helping people on finding their clarity. Again, it comes back to that career clarity. You've got to know what your North Star is, what's the direction, and then what are some of the steps we can do to start their side hustle. Funny enough, side passion project. If you don't want to call it a hustle, it's a passion project that can be monetized later. Then what kind of jobs can you do while the kids are young, but can also push you forward in a career when you can pull back a bit later? So we're having those type of conversations.
Yeah, fascinating. Interesting you say all that. And what are some of the top? So again, again, majority of my clients are women, so I get that side of it as well.
Yeah.
What are some of the top challenges that face your female clients? So juggling it, keeping it together. What do you find is really bothering them? Like what makes them come to you? What's that trigger when they say, I need to talk to Alice Cheng on this one? What's the big moment that throws them your way?
Yeah, so definitely stress, coming home, trying to cook dinner, but also still got work left over because they had to leave at 5 o'clock on the dot. So they don't get a break, a moment for themselves. And then the weekends are all about children, activities, husband, shopping. Again, they don't get a moment for themselves to fill their cup. And I guess that's kind of a nice segue why I created Inner Aura, where I've realized I've taken a lot of self-care moments because I was always focused on giving to others, the family, being a daughter, helping my elderly parents. When do you find time for yourself? So that's their biggest challenge, that they're depleted to the point where I'm burnt out. I'm so burnt out. I'm a black toast. What do I do? Where do I go from here? And they're lost, basically.
Fascinating. So tell us a bit about Inner Aura. I mean, I've seen your new ventures taking off. What kind of business is it? And tell us what you're getting into and where you're going with it.
Yeah, look, it is a nice candle business, but it's more than that. I'm actually creating oils and things like that. So I'm trying to promote self-care and women to start off with, but I want to promote that to everybody, where you just take one moment. It can be 1 minute. It can be then add another minute. We just circuit break what you're doing to really focus on breathing and just think about yourself and not anything else. And the candle is just a tool for you to message to your brain. Let's take a moment for Ed and really just focus, breathing deeply, because with a clear head and a positive vibe from the inside, that's where you're going to project that confidence on the outside. And so I chose Enna. Enna is Danish. It means one of a kind and extraordinary individual. And I believe everybody is extraordinary. And I want to give everybody that one-of-a-kind moment any time of the day by burning a candle, have a cuppa, and circuit break yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I've had this chat with like Sean Tucker and many of our other friends, right? How self-care is often talked about, but in a way, and Sean Tucker agrees, it's a taboo. Self-care is a bit of a taboo in that, because how dare you self-care? You should be doing this and that, you selfish SOB, right? Like, to me, that's so people will talk, like, for example, I'll pick on companies. I'll just take a cheap shot at companies, right? Just taking a cheap shot at those guys, right? They'll talk about how self-care and mental health and diversity, inclusion, and all that is just wonderful, right? And working from home is great. You know where I'm going, right? But the moment diversity, inclusion, self-care doesn't suit them, it's all out the window and they're chasing the dollar. What do you think on that remark that a lot of people are saying right now?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Look, I think it comes down to individual and setting boundaries. What's important to you? Even though you're an employee, I think it's also up to you and own and be accountable for your own self well-being. A manager can only do so much. A culture can only do so much. And if they really want you to back in there 5 days a week and you don't like it, well, everybody has a choice too. And that's why you see, CBA, for example, people are dripping out the door, etc. So again, everyone has a choice. And I believe that this maybe sound very cliche, but it is that oxygen mask, because if you don't get the oxygen mask on yourself first, then you can't help anybody else. So I've come to realize that in my last 2 years. And that's why I created this to also go well into my coaching, because I feel if your insides aren't well, you're going to really project that negativity out. And that's what I've learned from coaching all these people in interviews. They've got that self-doubt in there. That's why they're coming out outwardly projecting that view. So, it all comes from the inside and up here.
Yeah, I love it. I love where you're going. And one thing I always said, I'm using diversity and inclusion as an example. Now, I'm very pro diversity and inclusion, right? But I remember a lot of companies were all diving into diversity and inclusion, saying how wonderful it is and it's great. They're putting on all these D&I officers.
Yeah.
And the moment D&I became a bit tainted in the public culture and conditions changed, they then fired all those people. So there you go. It's just, and it's funny when you see. I think self-care, I love what you're doing, the self-care. I think it's great, but it's funny, the contradiction of it. They'll talk about self-care and all that, but a lot of people don't really believe in it. And I'm so glad that you do. That's very, very, very important.
I know. And pets are great for self-care, by the way. So a lovely cat there. But I'm also not just focusing on the product, because it's all about the experience in that moment. And so, I have thought about this a lot. I'm putting the candle in a nice reusable teacup, sustainability tick.
Yeah.
So once you finish burning that cup, reuse it as a nice teacup. And I've thought through, it is just taking that moment. A minute is all you need.
Is that your dog?
That's my dog.
So your dog knows I've got my cat here. So your dog's barking at my cat.
Yes, she's getting jealous. Why is she getting featured and not her?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, this is it. I know. This is influencer Cat Honey. So now, Alice, I know you're a busy lady. We're coming up to half an hour, and I just want to say a big thank you for the live. If you are watching, friends, please smash that like, share, and comment. Reach out to Alice. She's an amazing career coach, women's coach, and also has her relaxation health business. Alice, I'd love to hear from you closing thoughts, and please tell us how people can get in contact with you to take the new step. Be it they want you as a coach, career, candles, or whatever. Tell us all about that.
Oh, look, just direct message me. Find me on LinkedIn. So I'm just Alice Cheng. You've seen my face. And please follow me for any content. I write all sorts of things. I'm not just focused on career, but a lot of positive mindset, bit about my own personal life and experience, especially growing up here as a migrant. So some of the challenges around that. Just find me on LinkedIn, direct message me. And if you want my services, come through.
Yeah, and just out of pure interest, right? Just tell us just your ethnicity, like where, like I know you live in, so Alice lives in Sydney, but where are you from? When did you come to Australia? Where are you from originally?
So 1985, we migrated from Hong Kong. My parents came with a typical migrant story, got fresh off the plane with $2,000 and held a couple of jobs out of all places. They moved us down to Cronulla, Sutherland Shire.
You're from the Shire.
I'm from the Shire. Can't you tell from the way I speak?
You're just too friendly. There we go.
So I grew up down there. My brother and I were probably the only 2 or 4 Asians in the whole school. So, but it pushed me to really learn English, because I knew not one word of English when I got off that plane.
Wow.
And from there on, here I am with a full-blown Aussie accent.
There you go. You got the whole Cronulla. You sound like our old Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. There we go. You're like a female version.
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not. I don't know.
Oh no, Scott Morrison. People are saying he should be Prime Minister again. That's a huge compliment. Everyone wants Scott Morrison. It's funny, Scott Morrison, when he got kicked out of office, everyone went dark on him. Now our country's totally done that. Everyone's like, we're sorry, Scott. We're sorry we doubted you, Scott. We're very sorry. We didn't mean that, Scott. Yeah. No, I love Scott Morrison. He's a great guy. So yeah, interesting. And it's interesting that as well. I mean, I come from a Iranian Arabic background. So I remember the deal. I remember being the migrant kid. And back in the day, I used to have basically the Arab afro. So I used to have a massive.
Oh.
So
My maiden name is actually Thai, Thai. So we used to get in the white pages, obviously, it was under Thai. And everyone used to call up and go, can I order some Thai takeaway? Prank calls and some genuine Thai lovers.
There we go. And here you are today, big shot career coach, living on LinkedIn, running all these businesses. So there you go. So
thank you.
No, I got to see you. So Alice, thank you so much. I know you're a busy lady. Can we just get a final closing thought from you just to get us all thinking over the coming months?
Believe you're extraordinary. It has to start from you, but get a coach and get someone who can really help you to bring the best out of you, because life is too short not to live an extraordinary life.
Here, spoken by a very savvy lady. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
awesome, friends.
Bye.
Lovely work.